Hello and welcome to the Pennsylvania iMapInvasives Observation Data Entry Tutorial. My name is Amy and I'm going to be taking you through the process and showing you how to enter in an observation into iMap. So to start with, we're here at our main login page, and the URL for this page is www.iMapInvasives.org/PAIMI/login. And I'm going to go ahead and put in my login information, my username and my password, and click on login. And as we can see here, our main navigation page shows up, and there's a lot of different things on here, a lot of different resources. But for observation data entry, we're going to go here on the left hand side and we're going to choose enter data. And so another window pops up here. And this is going to be the start of our process for entering in an observation. So step one is asking us to incorporate some photographs. And this is by far probably one of the most important steps in our process for entering in observation data entry. This is how our iMapInvasives staff is actually going to be able to confirm an observation, because we'll be able to see exactly what it was that you were seeing in the field. And so there's different types of photographs that you can include. And they're going to be over here on the left hand side. We can see there's a close-up photo, there's infestation, there's scale, and scale is referring to if you would put like a ruler or a coin in your photograph to help to show the size of exactly what it was that you were looking at. And then there's some other types of photos as well. So you could put one picture in each category. And so in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and click on Browse and choose a photo that's already been saved onto my computer, and that's going to upload here as we see, and the image is going to show up here in this window on the left side. So just make sure that's the right photo that you wanted, and make sure to properly credit the person that took that photograph. So I took this particular picture, so I'll put my name here. Just keep in mind too, not even just for close-up photographs, but for most of the photographs you'll be taking, try to fill the frame of your picture as much as possible with the thing that you're taking a picture of. Distance photographs and photos from far away are not such a good idea, because it's not going to let us see very well what it was that you're taking a picture of. So just keep that in mind. So once you've got all the photographs incorporated into this first step, you're going to click on the arrow here on the right, and that will advance you through the process. Now we're at step 2, and it's asking who did the actual observation. And so the default here at the top says, yes, I am the observer. And if that's true, you'll just keep that answer selected. But if the observation was made by someone else, you'll click on the second thing that says, no, I'm entering data for, and you'll select the drop-down menu here. And there's a long list of names that we've got registered IMAP accounts for a bunch of different people. And so you can choose from that list to choose the person who did the observation. But if the person's name isn't in that list, you'll choose this last option that says, no, but the observer is not listed. And from here you can just send us an email that includes that person's name and email address. And we'll go ahead and create an IMAP account for them so that we can incorporate that person's information into the database. So just keep in mind, if the person's name isn't in the list at present, you will not be able to continue on with this particular observation until an account has been created for that person. So just keep that in mind. So for now, we'll just say, yes, I am the observer, and we'll go on to step 3. And step 3 is asking us if we're entering data for a project. And so a project in IMAP is a way to group different types of data together into one. So it makes it a little bit easier to query when you're looking for groups of data. And so, for example, Pennsylvania Sea Grant has their their zebra and quagga mussel database. And so that's just a nice way to group all that data together so that they can find it very quickly and easily in our database. And so if you are or you're not putting in information for a project, you would just choose that from here, yes or no. Here's just a list of some of the projects that I'm involved in. So for now, we'll just say no, I'm not entering data for a project. And we'll go on to step 4. And step 4 is asking us what species it was that we observed. And so there's different categories as we see here. There's animal, insect, and plant. And at present, Pennsylvania IMAP only has information for animals and plants. We do not have any insect data right now, but we're hoping to get some of that data later on down the road. So there's different ways to choose the species. You can choose by common name or by scientific name. And so I'll click on the drop down here. And the photo I used was from purple loosestrife that I had seen. And so I'll choose that here. And as you can see in the scientific name box down here, that the scientific name auto-populates by itself. So those lists are tied together. As soon as I choose something from one list, the other list finds the appropriate answer, and that incorporates there. And so just double check the photograph that comes up here on the right hand side and just make sure that that is the species that you are entering an observation in for. You can click on that photo and it'll make it larger so that you can see the picture more closely and what's in the picture. And also this further species information link is really handy because it will show you further information about the species that you are entering in observation data entry for. And so here we can see the USDA website brought up more information about purple loosestrife so that I can browse around and get more information about that particular species. So once we're done here, we'll go on to step 5. And step 5 is asking us when we made the observation. And so there's a calendar that appears, and the calendar defaults to the current day, and so today is August 6th. But there's different ways to navigate through this calendar. You can use this arrow here on the left to go back through different months, and so you can navigate that way. Or you can click on the title bar, and that will bring up a listing of all the current months in the year, and you can navigate by clicking on the different months. If you have really old data, you can click on the year, and then a listing of different years will pop up there. And again, you can use the arrows here to navigate to the year that you're interested in, and then choose a date that way. And so we'll just go ahead and we'll choose a day and go on to step 6 in our process. And step 6 is asking us where we made our observation. So this search by coordinate box is useful if you were using a GPS unit out in the field and you were able to collect coordinates. You would just choose the coordinate system that you were using, and you would then fill in the appropriate information in the latitude and longitude boxes over here on the right hand side, and then choose update map. But if, for example, you weren't using a GPS unit, but you know maybe about where you were and you have an address, you can go ahead and put that address in this search box and hit go. And then our map here, our 2 maps down at the bottom, will zoom into the spot that you just asked for. And so I typed in the address here at our office in Pittsburgh at the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy. And so I do want to show you quickly panning these maps. These maps are tied together. So if I pan on the right hand side on the zoomed out version of the state, the map on the left will also move as well. And so you can't see it as well, but if I pan on the left hand side, this map on the right will also move, but again, you can't see that as well because we are zoomed out farther. So I'm just going to go back again to that point that I already looked up here in Pittsburgh. And I do want to point out the zoom ladder here on the left hand side. Each map has it. You can zoom to get a closer view of where it was that you made your observation. And this black dot and the larger blue circle here, this black dot is what we're moving around to get to where exactly we made the observation. That's the point that you're going to be making. And so once you're satisfied with where that dot is on the map to represent your observation point, you can go ahead and go to the last step, step 7. And this is just a summary of all the information that we've input. And so it's telling me the observer, it's saying I am the observer. I found purple loosestrife. I'm not entering data for a project. This is the date that I did my observation on, and here's the location information. So if any of this information is not correct or needs to be updated, you can use this arrow on the left hand side, or you can choose from any of the numbers at the top to go back to a step in the process and change information. But if everything looks okay, then you can go down here to the bottom and just hit submit observation. And so there's a few options that do pop up here. You can submit an assessment, you can view your observation on a map, or you can submit another observation. And so I do want to show you here for viewing your observation on a map. It will bring up our map feature that we have here in iMap. And as the page loads here, it will show us a red circle with the number 1 inside, and that number 1 is representing the observation that we just created, and we can see that here on our map. And so that's nice and handy, you can see that. But I do want to point out here this ID number. This number is specific to the observation that you just created. It's tied directly to it. And if we click on that, it will then take us to the record that we just created for our observation. And so as we see here, here's our ID number at the top. And over on the left-hand side is just a summary of the information that we just put in. My name, the date, the species that I observed, and so on. Here's the map again with the yellow dot pointing out exactly where our observation point is. Here's our coordinates and a photograph again that I inputted. But as we scroll down here, I'm in the general information section. As I scroll down here, there's other boxes that we can put in further information to talk more about our observation. And so this observation comments box is a nice little place to put in things like field notes or other species of interest that you may have seen while out in the field, what the weather was that day, anything that you think might be really important to incorporate into your observation. Go ahead and put that here. This location determination method is asking you how you figured out where you were. So if you were using a GPS unit, or if you were using the iMapInvasives data entry map that we were just looking at a minute ago, or if you were using a paper map. These are all options to choose from. Your observation method. Were you on foot when you found the species that you observed? Were you using a boat? Were you diving? Were you using a canoe, kayak, or rowboat? Again, different options you can choose from. The site access field is asking you if you encountered any issues while you were making your observation. So was there a gate that you had to open and get through? Was there a homeowner that you had to ask permission to get on a particular piece of property? And then site directions. This is just a place to say exactly how you got to the place that you made your observation. And try to be as specific as possible, because if someone else is trying to get back to this spot as well, they're going to need as many details as possible. So be sure to include things like road names, landmarks, special geological features, anything you think might help in order to lead someone back to that particular place. And I do want to point out here the data status. The data status will automatically come up as unconfirmed because this is a new observation and it hasn't had a time or a chance yet to be reviewed by an iMapInvasives staff member. But as soon as someone does review it, they'll either confirm it or they'll get in touch with you and say, I need to see additional photographs, or I need to see the specimen in order to properly identify what it was that you were looking at. So then as we continue on down here, this related records section is for when other information like, as listed here, assessments, surveys, and treatments, when those information types are added. And that's always an option in IMAP if you'd like to do those things. And then additional information will come up there then if information was added for those things. Some of the information is pre-populated by IMAP, so we can see here the data entry method was online. Continuing on down to repository information. This section is for if you collected a voucher specimen in the field and you submitted it to like a museum or herbarium. And here's a long list of places to choose from that you may have submitted it to. And then additional information concerning the specimen. And again, the geography information, this section is all pre-populated by IMAP, so nothing in here is stuff that you can edit yourself. So if you did make any changes or updates in the record, you want to make sure that you hit this Update Observation button down at the very bottom, and then that will save any changes that you made. So as this loads, we pretty much went over everything that you'll need to know for entering in an observation into IMAP. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. If you do have any additional questions, don't hesitate to get a hold of us. All of our contact information is available on the Pennsylvania iMapInvasives homepage, so please get a hold of us if you need to. So I thank you for listening in on this tutorial, and have a great day.